There is a strange quiet that comes after you stop trying. It's not the tense, watchful quiet of waiting for a message. It's not the angry silence of a fight. It is a different kind of stillness. The air in the room feels lighter. Your phone lies on the table, and for the first time in a long time, it is just an object, not a vessel of hope or a source of anxiety. Your body is no longer braced for the phantom vibration in your pocket. You have stopped being available, not as a strategy, not as a game, but as an act of exhaustion, an act of self-preservation. You stopped initiating, stopped filling the silences, stopped making it easy. You simply withdrew your energy. You took yourself back. And in the space that follows, a question arises, quiet at first, then louder. What happens on the other side of that silence? What is stirring in him, in the world you built together, now that your constant presence has been removed? You imagine a chair in his life, a chair you always kept warm, always ready to occupy. Now, that chair is empty. Does he even notice it? Does the coldness of it reach him? The common assumption is that if a man doesn't chase you the moment you pull back, he never cared. It's a simple, painful, and often misleading conclusion. The truth of the human psyche is far more complex, more layered. What is happening is not a simple equation of interest or disinterest. It is a profound psychological disruption, and understanding it is not about getting him back. It is about understanding the very nature of attraction, ego, and the hidden roles we play in each other's lives. It is about finally, truly, coming back to yourself. To the conscious mind, your absence is just a fact. You are not there. You are not texting. You are not calling. But to his unconscious, your absence is not an emptiness. It is a presence. It is a shape, a form, a question that his entire psychological system now has to deal with. When you were constantly available, you were a predictable part of his world, a known quantity. Your energy was a steady input, something his ego could manage, categorize, and even take for granted. You were, in a sense, part of the furniture of his emotional life. Convenient, reassuring, always there. But the moment you become unavailable, you cease to be furniture. You become a ghost, a question mark, a disturbance in the field. This is not about manipulation. This is about psychological physics. You have changed the fundamental conditions of the experiment, and his psyche, whether he is aware of it or not, is forced to react. The first reaction is rarely the one a woman hopes for. It is not panic. It is not a sudden, desperate pursuit. The first reaction is almost always from the ego, and the ego's primary job is to maintain control and preserve its own image. This is where Carl Jung's concept of the persona becomes crucial. The persona is the social mask we wear, the version of ourselves we present to the world. For many men, especially those who fear vulnerability, this persona is one of coolness, of detachment, of being unaffected. He is the one who is in control, the one who is less invested. This persona is a carefully constructed fortress, and your constant availability was, without you realizing it, one of the key pillars supporting it. Your effort allowed him to be effortless. Your warmth allowed him to be cool. Your pursuit allowed him to be pursued. When you withdraw, you don't just withdraw yourself. You pull a foundational support out from under his persona. The fortress wall now has a gaping hole in it. His ego, the guardian of this fortress, immediately goes into defense mode. Its first priority is to pretend the hole isn't there. This is the stage of dismissal. He might tell himself, "I don't care. This is for the best. I was feeling smothered anyway." He might even lean more heavily into the persona, appearing colder, more distant, more active on social media, almost as if to prove to you, and more importantly, to himself, that he is completely fine. He is demonstrating his invulnerability. This is often the point where a woman's resolve crumbles. She sees this performance of indifference and takes it as the final, brutal truth. "See," she tells herself, "he never cared at all." She mistakes the defense mechanism for the reality. But what she is seeing is not his true feeling. She is seeing the ego's frantic attempt to patch the wall of the persona. He is not showing you his indifference. He is showing you his defense against a feeling he does not know how to handle. Because beneath the ego's performance, something else is beginning to stir. The silence that you created is not empty. It is being filled by his own unconscious. The absence of your real, physical, and digital presence creates a vacuum. And into that vacuum, his psyche begins to project an image. This is where the dynamic moves from the ego to a much deeper layer. The constant external input from you, your texts, your attention, your energy, kept his internal world quiet. He didn't need to consult his own feelings about you because your feelings were always present, always doing the work for both of you. Now that your voice is gone, he is left alone with the echo. This is the stage of irritation and confusion. It's a low-grade psychological hum. Things feel off. The rhythm of his day is broken. The expected notification doesn't arrive, and the absence of it is more noticeable than its presence ever was. He might find himself picking up his phone for no reason. He might feel a flicker of annoyance, not a conscious, "I miss her," but a more primitive, "Why has the pattern changed?" The ego feels a loss of control. The game, whatever it was, is no longer being played by the rules he understood. He was comfortable in the role of the desired one, the one who received more than he gave. Now, that role has been dissolved. He is no longer the center of that particular universe. This discomfort is crucial. It is the first crack in the persona's wall. It is the unconscious beginning to send signals to the conscious mind that something significant has been lost. He is not yet mourning you, the person. He is mourning the loss of the dynamic that stabilized his ego. He is feeling the absence of your energy, which acted as a mirror, constantly reassuring him of his own desirability and control. Without that mirror, he is forced to look at himself, and what he sees, he may not like. He sees the empty chair. At first, the empty chair is just a practical problem. The person who used to text "good morning" is gone. The person who was always available for a late-night call is not. But as days turn into a week or more, the empty chair begins to take on a symbolic, psychological weight. It stops being about the convenience you provided and starts being about the space you occupied. This is when his mind begins to work differently. It starts to replay conversations. It starts to remember moments. But it doesn't just remember them, it reinterprets them through the lens of your absence. The little things he took for granted, a particular way you laughed, a kindness he barely acknowledged, are now magnified by the silence. The unconscious has a way of romanticizing what is lost. It edits the past, smoothing over the difficult parts and highlighting the beautiful ones. He is no longer dealing with you, the real, complex, sometimes demanding human being. He is now dealing with your ghost, and a ghost is a powerful thing. It is a perfect, idealized version, a projection of his own inner world. This is where we must talk about a deeper Jungian concept, the anima. The anima is the unconscious feminine side of a man's psyche. It is an inner image of the feminine, built from his mother, from past relationships, from the culture around him. It represents soul, meaning, and connection to the inner world. When a woman is overly available, when she does all the emotional work, a man can keep his anima safely unconscious. He doesn't need to engage with his own inner feminine, his own capacity for relatedness and feeling, because she is doing it all for him on the outside. She becomes a substitute for his own soul work. He projects his anima onto her, and as long as she is there, playing that role, he feels whole without having to do any of the inner work of integration himself. But when she withdraws, the projection collapses. He is left with a profound sense of lack, a feeling that a part of himself is missing. He may not have the words for it, he may call it missing her, but on a deeper level, his psyche is experiencing anima loss. The bridge to his own soul, which he had outsourced to her, has been washed away. This is the point where real, painful longing can begin. It is a longing not just for a person, but for a feeling of wholeness that her presence provided. His ego, with its mask of indifference, is now in conflict with his soul, which is crying out for connection. This inner conflict can manifest in strange ways. He might become moody, withdrawn, or uncharacteristically sentimental. He might listen to a song that reminds him of you. He might drive past a place you used to go. These are not conscious strategies. They are the unconscious mind leading him on a pilgrimage to the site of his loss. He might start to check your social media, not with the casual glance of before, but with a forensic intensity. He is looking for clues. Is she happy? Is she with someone else? Is she suffering? Each possibility sends a different shockwave through his system. If she looks happy, his ego is wounded. How can she be happy without me? If she looks sad, his ego feels a flicker of validation, but another part of him might feel a pang of guilt. If she is with someone else, it is the ultimate threat to the ego, a confirmation that he was replaceable. But the most powerful and confusing scenario for him is when she is simply quiet. Not performing happiness, not performing sadness, just living. Her life has continued, but its focus has turned inward. There are no more signals being sent to him. The broadcast has stopped. This is the moment the dynamic truly reverses. When you were available, your energy was flowing out towards him. Now, his energy, his thoughts, his psychic attention begin to flow towards you. He is now the one sitting in the silence, wondering. He is the one checking his phone. He is the one feeling the weight of the unspoken. He is now occupying the very emotional space you used to live in. But here we must pause. Because this entire exploration of his inner world, as fascinating as it may be, holds a dangerous trap. It is the trap of making it all about him again. It is the trap of watching his reactions, of waiting for the signs, of hoping that his pain will validate your worth. If you fall into this trap, you have not truly withdrawn. You have just found a more sophisticated way of waiting. You have turned your self-care into a tactic, and a tactic is still a form of chasing. The real transformation, the real power in this process, has nothing to do with what is happening in his head. It has everything to do with what is happening in yours. The moment you stopped being available to him, you were forced to become available to yourself, and that is a terrifying and liberating encounter. The silence he experiences is nothing compared to the silence you must face within yourself. In that silence, you meet the parts of you that were driving the old pattern. You meet your own shadow. In Jungian psychology, the shadow is the part of ourselves that we repress, deny, or are unconscious of. For the woman who is always available, the good girl, the cool girl, the understanding partner, the shadow is often full of neediness, fear of abandonment, and a deep-seated belief that her worth is conditional on being chosen. By constantly giving, you kept this shadow hidden. Your busyness, your focus on him, was a way of avoiding your own inner emptiness. You were afraid that if you stopped moving, if you stopped proving your value, you would discover that you had no value at all. You were afraid of that empty chair in your own life. When you withdraw your energy from him, it all comes rushing back. The anxiety, the loneliness, the fear. It feels like withdrawal from a drug, because in a way, it is. You were addicted to the hope he provided, to the small crumbs of validation that kept your deep-seated fears at bay. Facing this is the hardest part of the journey. It is the dark night of the soul, where you must sit with the feeling you have been running from your whole life, the feeling of being alone and unchosen. You must learn to parent the inner child, who believes she has to perform to be loved. You must confront the complex that whispers you are not enough on your own. If this feeling of facing your own inner silence resonates with a part of you that is felt unseen, take a moment to honor that. This journey is not a simple relationship tactic. It is a profound process of psychological and spiritual integration. It is the path of individuation. As you sit with these uncomfortable feelings instead of running from them, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to reclaim your own energy. The focus shifts from, "Does he miss me?" to, "What do I need?" From, "What is he thinking?" to, "What do I believe?" You begin to fill that empty space inside yourself, not with anxious waiting, but with your own life. You rediscover hobbies you let slide. You reconnect with friends you neglected. You listen to your own thoughts, your own desires. You start to decorate that inner room that was once reserved for him. You put your own art on the walls, play your own music, and most importantly, you learn to sit comfortably in that chair yourself. It is no longer an empty chair of lack. It becomes your throne of sovereignty. This is the point where you become truly unavailable, not just as a behavior, but as an energetic state. Your center of gravity is no longer outside of you, with him. It is firmly planted within your own being. You are no longer a satellite orbiting his planet. You are your own sun. And this is the ultimate paradox. This state of genuine self-possession is the most powerfully attractive force in the universe. A man's ego might be intrigued by a woman who plays hard to get, but his soul is captivated by a woman who is genuinely whole without him. He can feel the shift. It's not that you are ignoring him. It's that you are no longer looking for him. Your gaze is directed elsewhere, towards your own life, your own purpose, your own joy. Now, we come to the final question. What happens if he comes back? If he does reach out, It will likely be after a significant period of silence, after his ego's defenses have been worn down, and the pull of his unconscious has become too strong to ignore. The message will likely be casual, an attempt to test the waters without risking his persona too much. "Hey, how have you been? Saw this and thought of you. And here is the ultimate test for you." The old you, the available you, would have felt a jolt of adrenaline, a surge of triumphant hope. You would have replied instantly, your energy rushing back towards him, ready to slot back into your old role. But the new you, the woman who has done the inner work, feels something different. There is no desperate jolt. There is a calm observation. You see the message, and you check in with yourself first. How do I feel? What do I want? Is this a path I wish to walk again? Your peace is no longer a prize he can grant or withhold. It is your own creation, and you will not sacrifice it easily. When you reply, you do so from your center. Your response is not cold or punishing. It is simply calm. It is authentic. It does not carry the frantic energy of need. It carries the quiet confidence of wholeness. He will feel this difference immediately. He is not talking to the same woman. He is not talking to the mirror that once reflected his own ego back at him. He is talking to a sovereign being. This can be deeply intimidating for his ego, but deeply intriguing for his soul. He realizes that to re-enter your life, he cannot just slide back into the old dynamic. The empty chair you left in his life is no longer available. To be with you, he must build a new structure, a new kind of connection, one based on mutual respect and genuine intimacy, not on convenience and control. He must be willing to take off his own mask, to meet you in a place of vulnerability that he has been avoiding. Some men are capable of this journey. They will see your transformation as an invitation to begin their own. The relationship, if it rekindles, will be on an entirely new level, a conscious partnership rather than an unconscious dynamic. But many men are not. Faced with a woman who no longer needs him, whose wholeness reflects his own lack of integration, his ego will retreat. He will find the challenge too great, the vulnerability too terrifying. He may disappear again, this time for good, in search of another convenient mirror, another woman willing to play the old role. And if that happens, you will feel a moment of sadness, perhaps, but it will not be the devastating heartbreak of before. It will be the quiet, mature grief of recognizing an incompatibility. You will not feel abandoned because you have already learned that you can never be abandoned when you refuse to abandon yourself. The journey of becoming unavailable is not a strategy to win a man's heart. It is the path to reclaiming your own. The outcome, whether he returns or not, becomes secondary. The prize is not him. The prize is you. You, whole and centered. You, at peace in your own silence. You, sitting on your own throne, no longer waiting for anyone to validate your existence, because you have finally validated your own. My silence is not a game. It is my homecoming. And this homecoming is not just a concept. It is a felt, physiological event. It is a return to the body. For months, perhaps years, your body has been in a state of low-grade warfare. It has been a vessel for waiting. Think of the physical memory of it, the subtle clenching in your jaw as you reread a message, trying to decipher its tone. The shallow breaths you took while waiting for a reply that might never come. The way your shoulders rounded forward, hunched over a phone, as if in constant hopeful supplication. Your nervous system was perpetually tuned to an external signal, living in a sympathetic state of fight or flight. You were braced for impact, braced for disappointment, braced for the tiny hit of validation that would grant you a moment's peace. The silence of your homecoming is the sound of your own nervous system sighing in relief. It is the moment you notice the tension in your shoulders and consciously let them drop. It is the first deep, belly-filling breath you take that isn't attached to a hope or a fear concerning him. You begin to feel the ground beneath your feet again, solid, reliable. You are no longer vibrating at his frequency. You are finding your own resonant tone. This is the body memory layer of healing. You are not just thinking differently. Your very cells are learning a new way to be. They are learning that safety and peace are generated from within, not granted from without. Your body ceases to be a tense outpost on the border of his world and becomes, once again, your home. As you inhabit your body more fully, You become more capable of navigating the trickier terrain of your own psyche, especially the integration of your shadow. Facing the shadow, that container of your disowned needs and fears, is not a one-time event. It is a practice. And it is not about eradicating your neediness or your fear of abandonment. To do so would be to simply create a new, brittle persona of the unbothered queen, which is just as much a mask as the cool girl ever was. Integration is different. It is an act of profound inner compassion. It is learning to hear the voice of the frightened inner child who fears she is unlovable, and instead of letting her dictate your actions, you turn towards her. You become the parent she never had. You say to that part of yourself, "I hear you. I know you are scared. I know you want to send that text. I know you feel worthless without his validation. But I am here now. I will not abandon you. We are going to sit with this feeling together until it passes. You are safe with me." This inner dialogue is the real work, and it shows up in small, concrete moments. It's when you have the urge to check his online status, and instead of giving in or shaming yourself, you pause. You close your eyes. You ask, "What am I truly feeling right now? Is it loneliness, boredom, fear?" And you give yourself permission to feel it without needing to fix it or send it his way. A concrete inner sign is when you're driving and a song comes on the radio. That song. The one that was yours. A wave of sadness washes over you. The old you would have been consumed by it. The rest of your day would have been lost to a spiral of painful nostalgia. The new you feels the sadness, acknowledges it like a cloud in the vast sky of your awareness, and then you keep driving. You might even let a tear fall, but the sadness is no longer you. It is just something you are experiencing, and it passes. Another sign is the return of a genuine, unforced laugh. It might bubble up while you're with a friend or watching a silly video, and it surprises you with its depth. It comes from your belly, not your throat. It is the sound of joy re-emerging, untethered to anyone else's approval. It is your own. This brings us back to the practical test of his potential return. The script outlined the scenario of a casual text, but his ego, in its desperation, might employ more advanced tactics. What if, instead of a casual, "Hey," he returns with an emotional flood? A long, soul-bearing message about how much he misses you, how empty his life is, how he realizes he made a terrible mistake. This is the anima crisis in full display. His soul is knocking on his own door, and he has mistaken it for yours. The old you would have seen this as the ultimate victory, the validation you craved. You would have rushed in to soothe his pain, to reassure him, to fix it. The integrated you, the woman who has parented her own inner child, feels something else. She feels compassion, yes. She can recognize his pain is real, but she also recognizes it is not her responsibility to carry. Her peace is too precious now. She can respond with kindness, but also with a boundary. A response might look like, "I hear that you're going through a lot right now. I appreciate you sharing that with me. I need some time to process this and understand what feels right for me." You are not slamming the door. You are simply stating that you will not be swept away by the tide of his emotions. You will consult your own inner compass first. Or, he might try a more manipulative tactic, the guilt trip. "I haven't been able to sleep since you stopped talking to me. You really did a number on me." This is his ego's last-ditch attempt to make you responsible for his emotional state, to pull you back into the old dynamic where you were the manager of feelings. The sovereign woman sees this for what it is. She knows she is not responsible for his regulation. She has worked too hard to learn how to regulate herself. She does not absorb the blame. She might not even respond to such a message, recognizing it as a game she is no longer interested in playing. Her silence in the face of manipulation is not a punishment. It is a statement of her new reality. The ultimate test, however, is not in the words you type. It is in the reaction of your body. When his name flashes on your screen, what is your first visceral response? Is it a frantic, anxious jolt in your chest? A lurch back into the old hope and fear cycle? Or is it a calm, steadying beat? Do you feel your breath catch, or does it remain deep and even? Your body knows the truth. If it tenses up, it is telling you this person is still associated with a state of threat, of instability. If it remains calm, you know you are operating from your center, from a place of genuine choice, not desperate need. In the end, this entire process refines your understanding of silence. At the beginning, the silence was a void left by him. It was tense, loud, and full of his absence. But as you journeyed inward, as you filled that space with your own presence, your own breath, your own life, the nature of the silence changed. It is no longer an absence at all. It is a presence, your own. It is a rich, generative quiet. It is the soil from which your own thoughts can grow, your creativity can blossom, your true desires can be heard. It is a sacred space, a sanctuary you have built for yourself, brick by brick, with every moment you chose to turn towards yourself instead of waiting for him. This is not just a story about romantic relationships. It is the story of any dynamic where you have given your power away, to a job, to a family role, to a friendship. It is the journey of ceasing to be available for anything that asks you to abandon yourself. So let the quiet settle. Let it hold you. This is not the quiet of waiting. It is the quiet of arrival. The destination was never him. It was the woman you become when you finally stop chasing, stop proving, and simply, profoundly, come home. And in the stillness of that home, you find you have everything you were ever looking for.